In the beginning of the story, we are shown a rich girl who looks very bossy in nature. She is going somewhere in the lift with many of her guys. The name of this girl is Nancy. Nancy reaches the secretary of a company who is cheating on his wife. Nancy goes and makes videos of him and clicks his photos. She blackmails him every day and tells him to tell his boss to collaborate with us in the new project he has started, and we should leave some of the properties he has taken. And that guy does the same. He calls his boss. His boss is none other than the richest and youngest person of Korea. His name is John. His assistant calls him and talks about giving all the projects to Nancy's company and also talks about leaving all the properties, to which he clearly refuses. Nancy then takes the phone from his assistant's hand and talks to him. As soon as she tries to talk to him, he disconnects her call. Nancy gets very angry at this and she asks her guys to send all those photos to that man's wife and leaves from there herself. After this, the scene changes. We are shown John. John is sitting in his company and John is saying that find out what has happened to my assistant, because he was saying very strange things. After that, we see that the secretary tells him that, sir, today you had to recruit girls for your wife's position, to which John agrees. Here we are shown Nancy, who is trying to become a dumb girl so that she can enter his company and find out about all his secrets and shares. But here we are shown John. He starts recruiting girls for his wife's position, but he does not like any girl. Then Nancy enters there, who lies there that she has come for a job, and she gives them her resume, on which she comes to know that here, but his wife is getting recruited, which he already knew, but she reacts in a very strange way in front of them. She says that I am not eligible for this position, but he requests her, she agrees, and he also tempts both of them with some money. Along with this, Nancy tells an incident from John's childhood when John was kidnapped by someone and was stuck there alone. He was yearning that someone should come and save him. He was saved by a little girl. If you knew any such incident, then Nancy would have trapped John in her trap through that incident. Then John has a little doubt on her. But he still does not start thinking that Nancy was the same girl who saved him. Then Nancy takes John to the same location where she used to live earlier. Now they reach there. Nancy does not know the password of her house. She is messaging in her company. But John is looking back again and again. So Bhansi has to keep his phone aside when they reach there. So Nancy sees that outside the house in which her friend lived, a man is knocking loudly and he looks like a goon too. Then Nancy starts her acting. She takes him aside and starts crying in front of him and tells him that this is my boyfriend, that is why he is getting on top of me, and he had also taken some money from me. Now he is unlikely to come to take more money from me. I don't want to go there. I can't drag you into all these matters, on which John starts feeling pity for Nancy. After that, he calls his secretary. His secretary comes and beats that man very badly and also throws a check on his face and says, don't show your face again. Then here Nancy and John go to John's new house which he has bought, but we are shown in flashback that Nancy also wanted to buy that house. She tried to give more money to the broker than John, but the broker did not give that house to her. And if the broker had not given that house to her, the other house in the property, the plus house, that the broker could not give that house to her, then Nancy asked the broker at that moment that who bought this house after all, on which the broker says that whoever has taken the house has refused to reveal his identity, on which Nancy understands that all this was John's trick. Now Nancy goes to his house and reacts as if she has never seen such a big house in her life, and she is very happy. After coming to that house, John takes Nancy to her room. Now Nancy does not like her room at all, but she tells John that she likes his room. As soon as John goes, she checks that the room property has not been cleaned, and she thinks that now she will sleep in John's room only. Here it is shown that John is taking a bath in his room. Nancy comes outside his room and knocks. John comes out. Nancy is surprised to see him and says that his body is very good. After this, John asks me what happened. Why were you calling me? To which Nancy says that I don't have a night suit. Can we go for some shopping? To which John says 1 second, and he throws a night suit on her face and says wear this and closes the gate on her face. Then wearing the night suit, she starts searching for something in his house without any knowledge that there are camera installed in his house which John is watching on his laptop. As soon as she picks up a book, the lasers of his house turn on and Nancy gets stuck there and her security alarm also starts ringing. The guy standing outside come to talk to Nancy. Nancy starts getting scared and she is doing all this drama so that she can get John's attention. The guards think Nancy is a thief. Nancy tries to explain to them that she is John's wife, but they don't believe and lock her in a storeroom. Nancy sees a camera installed in that storeroom too and understands that John did all this so that he can understand Nancy's reaction. Nancy's storeroom, she starts banging her hands and legs on the gate and starts crying like a small child. Then John comes there. John takes Nancy out of the storeroom and Nancy holds him and says that I am very happy that you took me out of here. Otherwise, I would have been trapped here and would have died. John is slowly falling into her trap. After this, both of them are sitting where Nancy is pretending to be very scared. She is telling John that you should divorce me because I am not able to play this role of a wife. On this, John explains to her that he will remove all the security alarms of his house so that you can roam around freely, and this is from his side. He also increases Nancy's salary. After this, he tells Nancy to go to sleep. Nancy falls asleep as soon as she goes. When she wakes up in the morning, she hears someone shouting loudly outside. It is none other than John's mother, who is angry at John for marrying a girl with no identity. She was saying that so many proposals came from rich daughters of the whole country, and you married a girl about whom you don't know anything. John's mom gets happy on seeing Nancy, calls her to her, and gives her her ancestral bracelet too. Looks at John. John gestures her to take the bracelet. Nancy takes the bracelet. Then John's mom talks to Nancy about giving grandchildren very soon, on which both Nancy and John get shy. Then John says to his aunt that, "What are you saying? We have just got married." After this, we see that Nancy and John are now standing face to face, and then John's mom says to Nancy that, "I know you will get bored sitting idle in such a big house. Why don't you go to John's company and join it for a job?" On which Nancy agrees. In the next scene, we are shown that John has ordered a dirty scooter for Nancy and himself is going to his office in a luxurious car. Nancy comes near that scooter. Nancy does not like the scooter at all but does not want to. Despite this, she has to adjust with the scooter and she says that scooter is good in front of John. So despite this, she has to adjust with the scooter and she says that scooter is good in front of John. John tells her that if you tell anyone in the company that you are my wife, then I will do such a thing to you that you will always remember it, on which Nancy says that I have understood why I would do this. After this, John leaves from there. Then Bhansi also goes to John's company and she goes to the reception. After going to the reception, she asks the receptionist that what job am I doing here, on which she hands over her portfolio. She is surprised to see that how can a girl be the wife of the president of his company. Then she tells his secretary. Seeing John, his secretary understands that now they are married. Then she tells the boss's secretary that I have to go to John's office. Where is he? His secretary says that come, I will take you, as he starts taking her from there. Then his assistant comes in front of him with the police and he starts telling her, Nancy, we found you here. Now which person are you? Nancy, who is making a scene, gets scared of the secretary because John has come from behind. Now Nancy is trapped and she is not able to understand what to do. Then she sees that a prisoner there stuffs a cloth in the mouth of that man and punches him and knocks him down. She asks the police to take him away. After that, John goes back to his office. Then Nancy follows John's brother and asks him that I need to know how to impress John and how to prove that I have abilities. To which he replies that I am John's brother and I will tell you all these things soon, that with which things my brother can be impressed. Nancy happily leaves from there. Then we are shown the assistant. Guy throws him out. After a while, Nancy comes. Nancy beats the assistant badly and warns him that if you try to impress me again, then if you try to interfere in my life or my planning, I will ruin you a lot. Due to which the assistant gets scared and says that from today onwards, I will not do anything like this. Forgive me. After that, we see that John is trying to find out about the same 10-year-old girl by calling one of his men, and that man tells him that at that time the kidnappers had kidnapped many children, out of which he had also given some children out. On which John says that this cannot happen. You can take as much money as you want from me, but find out about that girl for me. By then his brother comes there. John starts telling his brother and he is asking him to find out about Nancy as well. And he is looking at Nancy's portfolio, on which his brother says that the girl is very serious. There is nothing in the portfolio that we should doubt her. Then there is an entry of Bhansi with his assistant. As soon as the assistant comes, he apologizes to John and says that I had misunderstood. This is not that Nancy. So she is a very innocent girl on whom John believes Then it is shown that Nancy had planned everything on the basis of Siddhi's, that what the assistant should say in front of them. After that the assistant leaves from there. Then Nancy sits next to John. John says that I know that you are having a lot of trouble adjusting with these people and I am also facing issues, so I want you to work on the post of in charge from today. You will just prepare the dough for my travel and nothing else. On which Nancy becomes happy and she leaves from there. Then when she is sitting on her seat, then a man comes to her who starts being rude in the morning. As she was saying that a while ago this man was explaining me with so much love and now look at his tone. But Nancy also gives him many rude answers and he leaves from there in anger. Then a girl comes to him and she tells him that this man is like this. He does the same with everyone. After that she says that, do you know what is the rumor of our company? Nancy thinks that this girl is dumb and I can make her my friend. Then she tells that she is learning, in which John's affair with her brother is told. Nancy gets shocked on hearing this and starts shouting that Mr. John has no interest in girls. How is this possible? Then Nancy gets a call from someone and she tells that John tried to investigate about you by sending someone again to the same house. But I handled that situation. This is none other than Nancy's secretary. Nancy says that it is a very good thing you handle everything like this. I will take care of everything here. After a while she goes to John, and as soon as she goes to John's office, John's mom comes there. John's mom is getting very angry with her and is telling her that why did you not send that person to jail who tried to forget my daughter-in-law? He has no right to live. On which John is explaining to them, and there is a lot of concern for Nancy. Then John handles the situation there. Nancy also handles that situation. After that they leave from there. Then in the next scene it is shown that now Nancy and John will have to go to meet his whole family, and when Nancy is going to meet John's family sitting in the car with John, then they see that Nancy gets a message from his secretary who tells her that today your father is also going to meet you and you have a meeting with a big company. Now Nancy gets stuck in this situation because at the place where she has to go to meet John's family, and at the same place Bassy's father is holding a meeting with his company, she is not able to understand what to do. And then she says to her secretary that, do you have to handle all these situations because everything is becoming very stressful for me. Here we are shown that Nancy's father and John's car stop together one after the other, on which the secretary comes and starts taking Nancy's father out of the car. But before getting out of the car, Nancy's father asks her about Nancy, to which she replies that madam is coming. She had gone for some important work, just wait for 2 minutes, you go first. Here John is telling Nancy to repair the car and is explaining to her that you need not be afraid, no one will say anything to you and I will handle the whole situation. As soon as Nancy sees that her father is getting out of the car and leaving, she also gets out. But then Nancy starts talking to John, whose voice reaches her father's ears, and he starts saying to his secretary that why am I hearing my daughter's voice here? To which the secretary thinks that how is this possible? Madam is somewhere for some important work, she cannot be here, you are tensed. Don't take it, madam will come in 2 minutes. As soon as Nancy's father turns back to see her, Nancy catches hold of John and John feels that Nancy is probably very scared, on which he again explains to Nancy that what are you doing? On which Nancy says that I feel that I should go with you like this because beautiful couples look like this. Nancy's father goes inside. Nancy also comes to meet John's family. As soon as Nancy comes in front of John's family, Nancy's impression does not look good in front of them and people start making faces after seeing her, especially John's grandmother. They do not like Nancy at all. Then Nancy goes and sits on the table near them and says that they start insulting her and everyone starts speaking wrong things about Nancy. Along with that, they also point fingers at John's choice and say that what kind of a girl have you selected? On which John gets angry. Then John's grandmother is saying that she is not married. Mom defends Nancy and replies to all of them saying that I have told you that my daughter-in-law is very cute and capable and my son has selected her after seeing her capabilities. After that, we see that Nancy sees that things are getting worse here. So to defend herself to John, she starts telling a fake love story and says that John and I met 10 years ago due to an unknown incident. But then we did not know that our fate will bring us together in the future. And after 10 years, I met John to find a job in a company. And after that, John recognized me and we had a connection. And that is why we got married, because we like each other. And in that way, we handle that situation, on which John's mom is feeling very proud. and she also gives very rude answers to all the relatives and shuts them all up. Here Nancy gets a message that her father is very tensed and he is sitting very angry because the investors of the company have told them that if Nancy does not come in a while, they will leave from here because instead of having a meeting, we are wasting their time. We see that Nancy's father also tells her secretary to tell her in a proper manner that if she does not come in 5 minutes, she should not step into this company again. Then she runs away and Nancy is in the changing room. She quickly changes her attire and reaches the same meeting. Now, when she reaches the meeting, her father is very proud of her. Now Nancy sits there and starts talking to all of them. She says that I want to know why the whole company has called a meeting together, on which all the people of the company start pointing fingers at Nancy and say that where is your attention? You know the company is going into so much loss for so long, and they give all the files in the hands of her father. Then her father starts reading the entire data and the cunning people of the company keep pointing fingers at Nancy again and again. Nancy tells them all this. She tries to give an explanation, but no one wanted to hear her explanation and everyone wanted Nancy to resign from her post of president, on which Nancy understands their intention and starts speaking their mind in front of them that if you think that this company is going into loss because of me, then I am ready to resign from the post of president, on which her father gets shocked. And after that, John's family gets worried for Nancy. John's mother tells John to go and check Nancy because this place is very big and she is very innocent. Maybe she has got lost somewhere, that is why she could not come back for so long. On which John leaves from there. Then Nancy gets a message from her secretary that Madam, come quickly because I cannot stop Mr. John for long. He is repeatedly talking about going inside. Then Nancy sends the message and runs away after saying bye to those company people. Changes and she runs towards the changing room. She starts leaving. Here John is standing outside the changing room with one of his female staff members, and that female staff member is telling the secretary that if the gate is not opened within 5 minutes, she will break the gate and go inside to check whether Nancy is inside or not. The secretary gets scared. Then Nancy comes there and Nancy says, what is happening? On this, John says, where did you go? Nancy says, I had to go to the bathroom, but this place is so big that I got lost. Then I heard your voice and I came here running. After that, we see that John sees the makeup on her face. As if she forgot to remove the makeup, John says, you did the makeup. To which she replies, I did it so that your family might start liking me after seeing me like this. On this, John gives her his haki. He tells her to clean all this makeup because she looks good the way she is. She doesn't need to change for anyone, on which Nancy starts blushing a little. Then his secretary tells her that her father is also staying there, on which Nancy quickly catches John. Then his secretary goes and tells Nancy's father that this way, sir, we have to go here, and she takes him inside. But Nancy's father sees John and her and now that guy. But then Nancy's father sees John and her, but he doesn't know that this girl is none other than his daughter, AK. Then Nancy tells John that I got a little emotional. Then they go inside where John's mother offers food to Nancy. Before eating the food, she goes and gives that food to her brother mother, due to which she becomes happy and their point of view changes for Nancy. Then the rest of the relatives sitting there start criticizing Nancy again, on which John's grandmother shuts them all up, and after that she tells Nancy that I want you to quickly become the grandson of our house. Bring it to us. On which Nancy says, don't worry, John and I are preparing for all these things very well. On which John gets shocked and they all start eating food. After that, the scene changes. Here Nancy's father is sitting to meet Nancy personally. Then Nancy gets a message from her secretary. Nancy goes to meet her father. After making some excuse to John, her father asks her that I want to know why you asked to resign from the post of president in front of all of them. On which Nancy says that you saw how all of them were climbing on me, and I don't know what they all want from me, but I know this much that they are not able to digest the fact that such a big company is being run by a girl. They just look for an excuse where they can pull me down, on which her dad explains to her that after thinking all this, you should not give up, you should work hard with the company, on which Nancy understands and she says that see, har vononkar isa pehla Krishna dujesa. I will take the company to great heights very soon, and she goes back from there saying this. We see that she comes down to John. John is waiting for her, and as soon as she apologizes to John, she says that I know I have made you wait for a long time, and she starts leaving from there with John. Then her father comes, but his secretary stops him again from recognizing Nancy, and after that Nancy is sitting with John in his car. She falls asleep. She sleeps by keeping her head on John's shoulder while John is thinking about her words. Then they go home, they take a shower. Nancy checks that John's mom has doubled everything in their news, news, and Nancy says that when I go from here, I will take all these things. Now they take a bath and start sleeping, and then at night, Nancy starts her mission to find out about John's new project so that she can snatch those projects and grow her company. And now she goes to his laptop and starts searching all the data, but John sees her leaving before that. He sees her, follows her, and comes there and starts acting as if she is walking in her sleep. Then the next day's scene is shown. John is sitting and watching the show. Nancy gets up and starts acting again as if she does not know anything. She apologizes to him and says that when I get stressed, I start walking in my sleep. John asks her, "What are you stressed about?" To which Nancy replies that you are supporting me for everything, but I am not getting a job in the company. I am stressed about this thing. Then the scene changes. We see that Jesse's father has come to know about John and he has taken out John's full profile. Seeing his profile, he remembers that 10 years ago, John was saved by his daughter, but Nancy does not remember that. Then she asks Nancy's secretary to call her. Jessie goes to meet her father and her father asks her to tell him what is this drama going on. She says that she did not tell her father the whole truth, but Nancy tells her father that she is living with a feelingless person for John, and saying this, she leaves from there. After this, the scene changes. Nancy is in John's company and she comes to know that now she will have to go with John on a donation drive, and she will also have to go to a party meeting. After this, the scene changes. Nancy comes home. After coming home, she cooks for John, but by mistake she breaks some utensils and her hand also gets hurt. John puts a bandage on Nancy's hand and tells her that, "Will you not go to the kitchen after today? And from now on, we will have a chef." After that, the chef cooks food for them. They have dinner, but Nancy drinks too much with John and she herself does not remember anything. In the next scene, John takes Nancy to her bedroom and leaves her the next day. Nancy wakes up and she is late for office and she starts leaving from there muttering. Then she gets a note in which John has given her 2 days to rest. She feels that her secret might have been revealed and she goes to the office to find out the secret. Then when she goes to the office, John does not even touch her. She stands outside the gate and keeps thinking that what did I do? And she remembers that she had come very close to John. She feels that John had kissed her. Her office friend hears this, on which she says that you do not worry, I will not tell anyone about all these things. After that, we see that Nancy comes down and stands in the parking area. Then John's brother comes there. He gives a key and some stuff in Nancy's hand and says that go quickly and park it in the parking area. Then a car stops in front of Nancy, from which John's mom comes out, who has made a strange face, and Nancy is taken from there. But an employee of John's company who used to hate her clicks her photo. Now in the next scene, Nancy is shopping with John's mom, and then after that, she goes to try the dresses. Then one dress is getting a little tight and she asks for help from the other employee, but that employee does not come. John comes there. As soon as Nancy looks back, she is shocked to see John and asks him, "What are you doing here?" Deepak, they go outside where John's mom likes that dress on Nancy very much. She says they should buy some dresses and asks Nancy to get the bill done. As soon as Nancy goes to the billing counter, the girls at the billing counter think that Nancy is a poor person and start insulting her. As soon as they check Nancy's data, they come to know that Nancy is their VIP guest. Then the shop owner also comes there bowing, and after that she buys that dress. Then after that, the scene changes. It happens that Nancy gets a call from her secretary. They all ask, what do we have to do now? Then she goes to her office and she tries to make John jealous. So she introduces that employee to John by saying that he is my junior, tonight I'm going to a party with him. On which John clearly refuses, and now jealousy is coming inside John. Then both of them come home where John is very angry. Nancy is also teasing John a lot and John is not able to understand what is happening to him. Then the next day, Nancy reaches that party with John. She has dressed herself up very well, but she has put too much makeup on her face, seeing which John gets awkward because John did not like makeup at all. He asks Nancy, "What did you do?" On which it is revealed that Nancy was allergic to some fruit and she had intentionally eaten that fruit so that she can spoil John's charity function. Sparathian ya chohari aleh, on which she tells John that she accidentally ate a fruit due to which she will have an allergy on her face. On which John puts a big curtain on her face and tells her not to worry. If you feel any pain or dizziness, then tell me, I will take you to the hospital. Now after that, these people enter the party. John is walking holding Nancy's hand, and we see that all the girls in the party are talking about Nancy, whom everyone knows as John's new girlfriend. Everyone is roaming around her and everyone is looking here and there. A guy from Nancy's company is also there. But after seeing her face, he gets suspicious that what is Nancy doing here? Then we see that Nancy is sitting at a place. Then a group of of girls come and start misbehaving with Nancy. Nancy enjoys them, but one of them throws a drink on the girl, due to which her dress gets spoiled. By then John comes there, who drives the girls away from there, and he brings a new dress for Nancy. Nancy wears it, and after that she goes to the party with John. The party function starts. Bubby enjoys it a lot. After that we see that John goes out for some work and an employee of his company starts following Nancy. Nancy runs and hides at a place, but that employee calls Nancy and asks her, what should I do? She says that I am the president of this company and you are an ordinary employee. You have no right to know all this, so you should mind your own business or else I will fire you from the company. The next day John is talking on the call. So she दसा विनिशा है मानी को management is all that they. Then his old girlfriend comes to him and starts to confuse him. Nancy reaches there by then, sees both of them on the phone, but she is not feeling anything. She apologizes to both of them and leaves from there. Then the girl asks, who are you then? To which Nancy replies that I am John's secretary and I am nothing more than that. To which John feels shy. After this, the next scene is shown. Nancy is telling everything about the party to her secretary. Then she remembers the scene in which John is standing holding the girl, on which she remembers that John's mother had told John earlier also that he should not meet that boy again because John is married. To which Nancy says that never mind, I will find out about this thing too. The next day we see that Nancy knocks on John's door and tells him that she is leaving for office. But John does not open the door. She goes to the office. Then she is sitting with her friend. Then she gets a message from his secretary. She tells him that there is a company meeting today. All the investors are waiting for them, on which she starts running from there. But then his real girlfriend and John come in front of her and John asks Nancy, where is Nancy going? On which Nancy says that I have some urgent work which is personal and I cannot tell you. On this, John thinks that Nancy is going to meet her younger boyfriend again and that is why he does not let Nancy go from there due to jealousy. But his old girlfriend requests John and he sends Nancy from there. Nancy runs away and in the next scene we see Nancy in her office where she is taking a meeting and handles that meeting very well. When the meeting ends and as soon as she starts going back from the lift, John comes in front of her and now Nancy is completely trapped. Now, seeing John's plight, he starts asking her what is happening, but Nancy makes excuses and says that she came to help her friend because the president of her company was very angry and that is why I had prepared myself in such a way. On which John says that you do not worry, I will talk to the president of this company personally. We see that Nancy talks to her secretary. John is not allowed entry in the company, due to which John gets frustrated. As soon as John comes back from the company, Nancy is waiting for him downstairs and she starts asking him whether he talked to the president of this company, on which John says that she could not meet me, I will meet her later. By then his personal girlfriend comes there, who makes him sit at home and takes him from there and tells Nancy that I will meet you in the office. Then we see that Nancy's secretary comes to him and orders him to quickly find out what he has done about this girl, what he wants to do and why he has come here, because now Nancy is also feeling very jealous of that girl. We see that at home, John's personal girlfriend is filling John's ears with Nancy and is telling him that I find this girl very bad. I don't like her. I want this girl to go away from your life. And she is saying a lot of wrong things about Nancy, on which John gets angry and John drops her on the road in the middle of the way. And he tells him that now you come in your car, I am not going with you. Then in the next scene, it is shown that Nancy is with John's mom and tells her about the whole incident and especially about John's real girlfriend. On which as soon as John's mom comes, she starts getting angry at him and tells him that you have no manners, you are married and you are cheating on your wife. On which John says, what happened that you people are getting so angry at me? On this, John's mom says, tell him who is that girl, on which John says that yes, I had a relationship before that Nancy, we are just friends, I do not have any such relationship with her. On this, John's mom becomes happy and she tells Nancy that you don't worry, my son will never cheat on you. And after asking both of them to live well, she leaves from there and tells John to apologize to his wife right now. Then we see that John stands at the door and does not put the password and he says to her, Babu, you complained about me to my mom. What do you want? Tell me. To which she says that I was just completing the formalities. I don't have any problem. You can room with anyone, do anything. What problem do I have? Here, John's foot slips by mistake due to Nancy's slipper. He falls on Nancy and they kiss by mistake, on which Nancy starts blushing. John cannot believe what will happen. Then John starts apologizing to Nancy, on which Nancy says that there is no need for you to apologize and that John is feeling less in front of her. And saying this, she immediately runs runs to her room and locks the gate of her room. Then she gets a call from her secretary and asks her if everything is fine. What happened there as planned, to which Nancy says that the plan flopped. We will have to make a new plan. After that, her call gets disconnected. She keeps thinking about the same kiss again and again and says, why am I getting so shy? Why am I blushing so much? And after that, she sleeps. Then the next day's scene is shown. John comes to her. Nancy also gets ready to go to the office, but she starts ignoring John from home itself. She tells John that you should maintain distance from me. Even though I told you that I like you, but it does not mean that you will stick to me. Then we are shown the office scene where John's old girlfriend comes to Nancy and starts ordering her that, will you teach me how to make coffee? And also tells her to make a cup of coffee for her too. To which Nancy gives a befitting reply. Everyone starts making her video, on which she feels very insulted. She leaves from there. After this, Nancy goes to the terrace, but she goes and starts talking to her secretary regarding her company. And we see that John's old girlfriend is secretly watching him and listening to his conversation. But Nancy sees her and ignores her and leaves from there. As soon as she leaves from there, an employee of John's company comes to his girlfriend and tells her, what are you trying to find? On which she says that, I want to know the real identity of this girl. On which that guy shows her the same photos which he had clicked when John's mom came to take Nancy for shopping, and says that I think there is definitely some big secret behind this. Then after this, we show the office scene where John is repeatedly blaming Nancy, but Nancy does not go, and every time she sends her friend to him to do some work, on which John clearly understands that Nancy is ignoring him. After this, we see that he gets the report of the employees, in which Nancy, she takes out her report and goes to John, and she has prepared her resignation letter. Nancy tells him that I am resigning. John says that I can understand that you are tired, so you can take rest, but do not resign. On this, Nancy says that I am not resigning from the position of secretary but from the position of Mrs. President, in which John starts explaining her that I know that you feel jealous of that guy, but there is nothing like that between us. Nancy says that I do not want any explanation. And we see that outside, John's old girlfriend is listening to our conversation secretly at the gate. On this, John is trying to explain to Nancy and is explaining to her that please listen to me and you should not do anything like this. If you want, then from today onwards I will not even talk to that girl and will stay away from her. Here we now realize that both of them have feelings for each other, but if you do something like this again, then I will leave you. The scene changes. Nancy meets her secretary, hiding her face, and tells her the entire incident. After that, we see that her secretary explains her that don't be too rude with Mr. John and maintain good relations with him, because we need documents for the company's project and he has them. After that, when John comes back from office, Nancy starts serving him a lot. John's changing attitude is not understood, and he says to both of them that you ignored me the whole day. You are treating me like a husband. On which Nancy starts arguing with him. Then John says that one of the most dramatic moments of my life is past, in which he asks, John tells that when I was young, I was kidnapped by some kidnappers. Nancy gets shocked to hear this, but she does not tell her anything further. We see that the next day Nancy keeps thinking about John's words, because Nancy was also kidnapped in childhood, and John also told her that she would never do anything like all these. He does not lie about things. After this, as soon as she gets ready to go to the office, John comes to her and says, why do you look so tired? To which Nancy says in a fake way that it is because of you. John says that if you take rest today, then there is no need for me to go to the office. After this, John leaves her alone and goes to the office himself. At the same time, he finds John's documents and he also finds John's laptop. Nancy is sitting in front of his laptop. She has two choices. Either she should show disloyalty to John or remain loyal to John. Now Nancy is not able to understand what she should do, and her wrong thoughts are going around her. To which Nancy says that no, I will not do this. This is a wrong thing. And in the next scene, we see that Nancy goes to the office and there all the people are climbing on Nancy, saying that you hid your identity very well. Nancy feels that they all have come to know that I am the president of some other company and these people are getting on top of me. Then we come to know that the photos of her company had gone viral when she went shopping with her mother-in-law, and all this was done by John's old girlfriend. A lot of ruckus starts there. Then John comes there hearing the noise and he asks Nancy, what is happening? happening, Nancy comes to him and he asks Nancy what is happening, on which John announces in front of everyone that he will divorce her. He takes Nancy inside and tells Nancy's friend to investigate this case and tell me the name of this person who has spread these rumors, and that girl says yes with a lot of confidence. Here we see that after going inside, John starts talking to Nancy and asks her, are you okay or not? And we see that his real girlfriend standing outside the gate is listening to all their conversation, on which Nancy says, I think now we have to divorce. We will have to give it because it is written in our contract that if anyone comes to know that we are husband and wife, then we will have to give divorce. On which John says, can you never talk about divorce? And we see that John's ex-girlfriend is surprised to hear this and she is shocked that her ex-boyfriend is now married. Then after a while, John sends her home from there and we see that John has called his ex-girlfriend and is getting angry at her and is telling her that you should not be seen in my company again and I do not have any relation with you now. Do not even try to contact me. On which she tries to convince John and tells him to forgive me, but he does not forgive her. Then after this, the scene changes and we come to know that Nancy's father has come to know that John and Nancy are now married. On which he is getting very angry. He is talking to Nancy's secretary to call her and meet him right now. But after this, the scene changes. We see that Nancy takes John's computer and reaches his office, from where it is revealed that John has gone to the countryside. Then we are shown the scene of the countryside where people are protesting against John. Nancy arrives there to save them, but those people try to kill both of them, on which both of them run away from there. Then we see that John's ex-girlfriend comes there. She starts talking to John and tells him to give her a last goodbye because she is leaving this country. John gives her permission. Nancy gets saddened by this and starts going away from them. But then we see that two monkeys are coming on a bicycle singing a song, and here a monkey hits John on the head. John falls unconscious and that girl is also getting kidnapped happily. This is all her planning. When Nancy comes back, she does not find John there. Then two people come and try to kidnap her. Nancy beats them and asks them about John, on which they tell everything. The kidnapping scene is shown. The girl is with the kidnapper and she is demanding money from the kidnapper, but the kidnapper stabs John in the stomach. After this, the scene changes and we see that John is now in the hospital. He is on drips. John regains consciousness and his mother is very happy. Then John is sitting next to Nancy and they are now very happy because Nancy has saved John from those people. Nancy tells him that she was also kidnapped in childhood and they remember that both of them were kidnapped together in childhood and how both of them were saved. By then, John's ex-girlfriend comes there. She exposes Nancy's identity by saying that she is the president of the company and had come here to meet you for some reason, on which Nancy herself accepts her mistake and she tells them that they need state documents so that she can start a new project, due to which John gets very hurt. Nancy leaves from there. In the next scene, Nancy is taking a meeting of her company and she resigns from the position of president. Then John comes there. John tears her resignation letter right there and tells Nancy that he wants to start a new life with her, to which Nancy says yes and they both accept each other's rights. And with this drama has a happy ending.